going to explain eval function in Python. Eval function is a very important function. Let us see how it works. Eval function takes a string as an argument and then it evaluates as a Python expression. For example, suppose you are having a variable x and its value is suppose 7. Now if you are writing print this x, you will get 7, no problem. But if you are writing this print x, then in that case you will get this x because it is a string now. And suppose I am writing here x plus 1. So though it is a mathematical expression, but it is enclosed in single quotation, so it will be treated as a string. And if you are executing, then you will get this because it is a string literal, so that's why we are getting here x plus 1. Okay, but now if you are, suppose you are writing eval not in this way, if you are writing here eval x plus 1 and then here you are writing print this. So you see here what is happening now. Here this x plus 1 is a literal because it is enclosed in single quotation, so it is a string literal, and we are passing it to eval function. So just now I told you eval function takes a string and it evaluates it as a Python expression. Okay, so it will be treated as a Python expression and the evaluated value will be passed to the print statement and we will get the result. So if you are executing it, you see though it is a string, but due to this eval function it has been treated as an expression, and because x is 7, so here we are getting x plus 1 is equal to 8. So this is how eval function works. Let us take some more examples. Suppose you are working with suppose you are working with input. Suppose here is a value v equal to, you are writing input enter something, okay. Now you are printing that value, print v, and of course you are printing the type of v. So if you are running it, suppose I am entering 67 and then printing. So everybody knows that, because this input function returns what? By default it returns a string. That's why whatever value you are entering doesn't matter, always the type of v will be string. Let us check. This time suppose I am entering a float value, again the type is string. Let us take another. Suppose you are writing true and run it. So again it is a string. So doesn't matter what type of value you are entering, input is going to return string value. That's why the type of v is always we are having str. Okay, now here if you are using this, suppose you want to convert it into int. So what you need to do here, we do typecasting to convert it into int. Okay, now if you are running it and this time if you enter 56, what will happen? Now it will return this. Okay, now suppose I am writing here float and run it. So this time suppose you are entering a float value like this, so of course you will be getting float. But what happens here, for every different types of values we need different typecasting function here. If for int we have to use int, for float we have to use float, for boolean we have to use bool, for list we have to use list. So different typecasting functions we need to use. But if you are writing like this, v equal to eval and then you are writing input, and this time suppose enter something, enter something. Okay, and now you are running this. Now let me print v and print type of v. So the same code we have written, just what we have done here, we have used eval function. So what it will do now, because you know just now you have seen that input function returns a string. So what we are doing here, we are passing that string returned by input function to eval function. So what is the work of eval function? Eval function will take that string passed to it by the input function, and it will treat it as a Python expression, and it will evaluate it, and then that evaluated value will be returned to v. Okay, so let us run it. So suppose you are entering here 45 and run it. So see, you see automatically its type is int. Now if you are passing this time for 355 point suppose 90 and run it, so this time automatically it is float due to presence of eval. Now let me run it again. This time I am passing this true and run it, so automatically it is boolean. This time let me run it once again. Suppose I am passing here this. Okay, so let us run it. So see, this is what? This is a list, and the type is list itself. Once again let us run, and this time let us run with a tuple. Okay, so you can see it is now tuple. Okay, so the main thing about eval function is that it takes a string and it evaluate it as a Python expression, and then that evaluated value it returns. Okay, so that's why here we are getting that corresponding value. Okay, for example, suppose you are writing here another thing we can do. Suppose here you are writing this. Suppose x equal to, you are having this 5, and you are writing print this x plus 6. So see here, this x plus 6 is a string literal, so it will be printed, because print by default it takes the value and print it. So if you are running it, then simply that string literal will be printed. But if you are doing like this, print eval of this x plus suppose 6. So now because this string literal is being passed to eval function, so what it will do, it will take it as a Python expression and it will evaluate, and that evaluated value will be passed to print, and then we will get the result. Okay, so let us run it. So that's why we are getting here 11, because x value was 5, and what we are doing, we are adding here 6, and that's why we are getting here 5 plus 6, that is 11. So this is how eval function works. It takes a string and then it treats it as a Python expression and evaluate it and returns the result. So I hope all of you have understood this concept. Thank you for watching.